I wanted to show you how to use NIDA, and there's a few things you'll need to know. NIDA is a separate LMS, and NIDA is used in several of our courses. It's not used in every single course, but it is used in several, and this is one of the ones it's used in. And when you go into lessons, we have all these different modules laid out, and I'm going to go, let's go to Module 3. And notice the very first thing in Module 3 is complete voltage measurements, complete start current measurements, and then resistance measurements. And then there's some videos, and then some more videos, and then some things you have to do, and then some assessments. So we're using NIDA as a portion of your course. NIDA is not your entire course. So when we use NIDA, one of the things you don't want to do is I can carry you to the NIDA system through a link, but I can't carry you just to this specific lesson. So what you don't want to do is get into NIDA and just keep working down through NIDA, because what you're basically doing is it would be like saying go to chapter 12 and read it, and then once you open the book you read everything from chapter 12 on, because we're not asking you to read the rest of the book. We're asking you to read chapter 12. I'm not asking you to do all of NIDA. I'm asking you to do voltage measurements and then current measurements, and then do all this other stuff, and then maybe go back to NIDA. So that's one of the things you want to make sure you get caught up sometimes and do it. But first thing you need to know is what course you're in and what lesson you need to go to. So I'm going to click on this one, and I'm going to bring up a different screen that I've already logged into. And I'm going to close this where you can't see this kind of stuff. But you see I have several courses, and if you're enrolled in more than one course that uses NIDA, you'll see more than one thing. That's the first reason you need to know what course you're in. So here's your course, ELCR 1010 right here. And let me go back to Blackboard here, and we wanted to do voltage measurements in ELCR 1010. So we chose 1010, and it brought up this little menu. See, it changes based on which course I'm in. So 1010. So let's go into DC test equipment, which has voltage measurements. So here's voltage measurements, and it's going to bring it up, and it's going to take you through and give you all the objectives, what you're going to do, what you're going to learn, so forth and so on. And then you're going to get a menu, and you see there's several things: digital multimeter setup, voltage measurements, experiment, final quiz, and lesson exit. Now, these experiments are for in-class only. You're not going to be able to do 99% probably of the experiments. Now, occasionally you'll find an experiment that you click on that doesn't have the trainer listed. If you don't have the trainer listed, that is an experiment you can possibly do. But definitely the ones that have the trainer, no way you can do it. We're leaving them in here. One, because we can't take it out of this. And two, we may have online and in-class classes, but if you're an online student, don't worry, there are other things you'll be doing that will take the place of this experiment. Do the final quiz here. If it's for a grade, you certainly want to do well. If it's for practice, it may help you with some other tests. So make sure you understand this content. That's a good way of doing that. So I'm going to go into this lesson and get part of the way in. And let's say I get done with this lesson and I come back and I want to change to the next lesson, or I realize I've already done this and I want to change to the next lesson. I can go, oh yeah, I've done digital multimeter. I can go to voltage measurements. So I just go down the menu, and that menu lets me choose. So if I started, like I say, in this one, I get part of the way into the lesson and I go, wow, this really looks familiar. I think I've already done this. And I can go hit these stack bars down here. Go to the main menu. Yeah, I do remember doing digital multimeter. I'll click here. So that's one of the things that you want to make sure. So make sure, one, that you know what course you're in. Two, what lesson in that course that you're going to be doing. And three, just ignore the experiments if you have to have the trainer. And if you are in class, I'll throw this in here in case we'd ever get back from the online into the face-to-face or a combo. You do have to use Internet Explorer with the experiments. Now, the rest of the stuff, it really doesn't matter. It works on every browser, but the trainers will only communicate with Internet Explorer. If you're at home doing this online, don't worry about it. Not applicable to you. Now, one of the things you'll also want to do is log out of NIDA properly. If not, it holds your seat hostage for about 5 minutes. So if I just click close, I'm not getting back in. But if I come to menu and hit lesson exit and hit yes, and then come up here and hit log out, then I can get back in right away. Otherwise, I'm going to have to wait for a timeout. So, like I said, one of the things you could do is I brought you over here to do multimeter use. You know, Blackboard may tell you to read chapter 12, and we don't expect you to read 12 and then finish the entire book. We don't expect you to come here and do voltage measurements and then go through all this other stuff without going back to Blackboard. We want you to do only what Blackboard tells you to do. So make sure you know, and that's what this checklist, I'm going to log out of here and show you this checklist. This is why this checklist can be your friend, is it also helps you understand what you need to do in the order you need to do it in. And that way, if you go, well, I have to keep jumping back between Blackboard and NIDA, and I got confused and I just went down NIDA, if you'll follow this, that won't happen to you. So, so do make sure you follow that. So that's pretty much it, I think, of what we wanted to go over. And there'll be a little quiz about this to make sure you understand what's in here. And if you have questions, please, as always, let us know.